Hello and welcome to this LASO achievement guide. As some of you may already know, completing the main campaign using the road skip alone is not enough to unlock the Headmaster achievement. But due to some lucky circumstances we now learned that you just need to finish one specific mission after the main campaign in order to get it. I already covered this in a small tutorial, link below in the description. Nevertheless, there's still some confusion in the comments, so that's why I'm recording a full tutorial. This guide is mainly aimed at all those people who do not have a lot of experience with LASO and feel a bit stretched out by it or put off, whatever. The goal is to make Infinite's LASO, or rather Infinite's LASO achievement, accessible for the everyman, no matter how good or bad you think you are at this game. That's why I will show you here in this guide step by step how to unlock the Headmaster achievement from start to finish in about 2 hours without any headaches. And for that I made a fresh new account, got the game pass to show you that this method definitely works. As you can see, the Headmaster achievement is yet to be unlocked on this account. And that's what we're gonna do today. But before we start, some important notes. Never use the continue button. This feature is extremely buggy, at least for LASO. What can happen is that the game will load your save game without the skulls enabled, which can cause you to lose your progress for the Headmaster achievement, even if you quit immediately. So my advice, only use load game. This game only gives checkpoints with full shields, so it is advisable to make sure you take out the last enemy in close combat to regain some shields before you head over to the next section. Because in the worst case scenario you can be tossed pretty far back in the level, consequently losing a bunch of time and progress. Unlike in other Halo titles, we have no audio cues whatsoever that indicate how much shields we have. Nevertheless, there are two particular audio cues that are still interesting for us. One is for our shock grenades, and the other is this hit marker here, which indicate that we have killed or at least hit our target, especially useful for sniper towers. Which brings us to 90% of this one we will only need the particle sword and the tank gun. The particle sword does a fair amount of damage, knocks enemies back and recharges your shields. As a bonus you are able to go in a one-on-one with a sword elite. And the tank gun Furthermore, we will need a minimum amount of 6 Spartan Cores for the first 3 upgrades for the grappling hook. These 3 upgrades are essential for the skip in the House of Reckoning. Also, we will use another Spartan Core for our shields, which will make the Sentinel room inside an Auditorium a bit easier. So in total we're gonna pick up 7 Spartan Cores, and I also prepared this little world map to show you which cores we're gonna collect. We will find our first 3 cores at Outpost Tremonious. After we clear the mission we're gonna conquer FOB Golf and grab a Pelican. From there we will fly right over to this point and land it somewhere here. Here we will get our next 2 cores, and then we're gonna get back into our Pelican and fly right to the excavation site. Once we have landed we're gonna collect cores 6 and 7 and then glitch our way to the House of Reckoning. And that will be all we need. Optionally, if you want to feel super safe and more resilient, you can also purchase the second and third shield upgrade. For that you will need these 5 additional Spartan Cores. As I said, we don't need them, this is just optional, but if you never played LASO before you can take that into consideration. Thanks to the road skip we only have to play the following missions. In addition to the road skip we will apply a fairly easy wall clip in the House of Reckoning. Along with the Pelican Glitch, these are about the only glitches we will need for the LASO achievement. If you decide to go after the 5 optional Spartan Cores, you should do this between the tower and the excavation site. And that's all we need to know, so let's jump right into the action. Gonna start a new file, gonna select all 12 skulls and hit play. Warship is our first mission, and once we make it through the everlasting cutscenes, the first thing we need to do is to get a headshot weapon. For that we can use the sidekick that we spawn with. Alternatively, we can replace it with a mangler or a battle rifle. It's totally up to you, you decide. If you want to go with the battle rifle, you'll have to be quick, as in this crane here will take the crate containing our BR to another spot. But as I said, it's totally up to you. Once we made our decision, we go up on this ramp here, select our shock grenades and spam them at these grunts over here. We're just gonna headshot 2 of them and keep 1 guy alive. Then we're gonna get some shield out of this guy and take that fusion coil and smash it right into that guy's face and headshot these 2 guys. And then we're gonna stun lock the remaining grunts below us with our shock grenades and slowly take them out with our BR. And just like before, we wanna keep 1 guy alive for our shields. Smack that guy. From here on now, we have 2 ways to move forward. Instead of fighting this gentleman here, we're just gonna grapple hook away. Actually, not like that, but you get the idea. And now we're gonna skip all of this by getting the maximum speed out of our grapple hook. And for that purpose, we turn a little bit in the opposite direction, just like that. And here we're gonna hook this pillar. And again, look in the opposite direction to get the maximum speed. And boom. Now we're gonna hug the wall on the right because one of these boots likes to turn around and shoot at us. Obviously we can also just go slow and stun all the enemies with our shock grenade and headshot them. As always, just do whatever you feel more comfortable with. And occasionally we gotta refresh our shields. Once we made it through the section, we're gonna head on to the next area. And here we're gonna throw everything we have at these jackals over there. You can use the fusion coil. Just like that, you can stun them. And then we're gonna take them out with our BR. Slow and easy. Nothing too complicated. And then we're gonna prepare for our 2 incoming brutes. You can welcome them with the fusion coil. Then we just stun them and take them out with our BR. You can also try to regain some shields, but it's a must have. And then we're gonna grab this rocket launcher and push the button for the elevator. Then we just gonna move forward and crouch here, and as soon as this gate opens we're gonna throw some shock grenades at these guys, and as always just take them out with our headshot weapon. As usually we're gonna keep 1 or 2 guys alive for our shields in order to get a checkpoint before we move over to the next section, where we gonna have our first big skip. Nothing too complicated, but first we're gonna refresh our shields. That guy. And now make sure to reload your rocket launcher. And now we're gonna have to clear this room, shoot a rocket at this guy, 1 in the left corner. And now we just gonna use our rocket launcher extensively until everything is dead in here. Just take your time, we're not going for any world records here. Fortunately, we don't have to worry about any ammunition because of the bandana skull. And as soon as we killed these enemies here, we're gonna skip the whole section on the bridge. And we don't have to worry about dying here because before we enter this room, we should have got a checkpoint. And business as usual, we're gonna get some shield out of the last remaining enemy and prepare for our skip. And instead of going through this door, we're gonna turn around and approach this door instead. Hit it 3 times with our melee until it magically opens, just like that. In rare cases it even opens by itself, but there's nothing special about it. We just hit it up to 3 times until it opens. And then we gotta hit a load zone. And for that purpose we're gonna go straight ahead and then turn right into this corridor. Just follow the path. And as soon as the lights go on here, we're gonna turn around. To our left we have some shield waiting for us. And sometimes we get a checkpoint here, but more often not, so we better get in this corner and wait for the scripted explosion to end, because we don't want to get killed by any of these boxes here. And then we're gonna look at these 2 grunts here. As always, keep one guy alive over shields. And as soon as we got the shield, we're gonna throw a shock nade, because there's a brute waiting for us behind that pillar. We just rocket him. And then we're gonna glue to the right here and throw some shock nades in order to stun these 2 brutes. And sometimes they just get killed by the scripted explosion, but sometimes you just have to kill them off by yourself. Don't get killed by this crate here. And then we just gonna get on this side here and refresh our shields. You can just melee one guy, shoot the other one, or if you want to be super safe like me, you can melee both guys. Then we're gonna jump down this elevator shaft and wait for the load zone. And before we go further, we're gonna stay on this elevator and make a step forward, 1 back, because these boxes here like to crush you. And now we're gonna proceed to the last section of this level. Here we're just gonna jump and run, nothing special. Obviously you can do a various amount of launches, but we don't need that kind of fancy stuff. Obviously you don't have to follow the exact same path, but at some point you wanna jump down somewhere over here. Once we're here, we want to hide in front of this thing and wait for this elevator. And then we're going to prepare for our last enemies. We're going to shoot some rockets on these grunts and watch out for the brute. You can obviously just stun him and headshot him. Or you can just try to melee him like I did and then die and restart from the checkpoint. Then we're gonna proceed to our last 2 grunts and grab some shield before we move on to the next level. Also, make sure to kill them, because sometimes they like to shoot you before you hit the end level trigger. Just smack that guy. And speak of the devil, there it is. And that was our first mission, Warship. Fairly easy, we skipped the whole section on the bridge, and now we move on to Foundation. This mission is actually super easy because we can skip almost every encounter here. And the first thing we want to do is to select our shock grenades and spam them at this unfriendly elite. But no reason to hold a grudge, because he will give us our particle sword. For that purpose we have to make sure that he does not fall off the edge. Instead we just take our time, shoot a rocket once or twice, use our shock nades, and eventually finish him off with our headshot weapon. Once he's dead, we're gonna switch out our BR with his particle sword, which we will use for the rest of this LASO run.
This weapon is your life.
And now we are good to go with our particle sword. Instead of fighting any of these grunts, we're just gonna stay on the side and swing our way towards the end of this hallway. Keep an eye on the kill timer, and once we're here we're gonna hook this pillar and grab some shield from these 2 grunts, and eventually just move on to the next area. And instead of going over this light bridge, we just gonna swing our way up here again and skip all the encounters in this hallway. Because fortunately the bandana skull also affects our Spartan abilities, which is super useful. And once we're here, we should get a checkpoint. And then we just gonna proceed to the next room, and you guessed it, we just gonna go right and swing up to the ceiling. And we wanna go as high as possible. And once we made it to the end of the hallway, we're gonna throw 2 shock nades on these enemies, so they won't have a chance to shoot at us while we wait for this door to open here. And just move on as quickly as possible through this hallway and make our way to Cortana. I spare you the elevator ride, and I want to take that experience from you. Then we're just gonna make our way through the endless hallways of Halo Infinite. And here we will skip these enemies and just go to our right, swing our way up, and Spider-Man through this hallway again. Oh, almost died here, so be careful. So instead of coming through this door and collect this energy core, we won't do anything of this. We just push this button and go over this light bridge and just move on to the next section, which we will also skip.
There's a file that's been unlocked.
So once we're here, we will not push this button. Instead, we're just gonna sprint and jump, look up, use our grapple hook on this pillar and try to land on this platform. And here we're just gonna do the same. We're gonna sprint, jump, look up, grapple hook. Oh, almost choked here. And then we're just gonna land on this thing and move on to the next section. And here we're gonna grab some shields. And in the next room we have a root sniper waiting for us. But we can also just ignore him and grapple hook up this gravity lift, which we will not activate. Obviously you can just fight him, but it's very unlikely that he will actually hit you, because the projectile speed of the skewer is pretty slow. So as long as you are moving, he should not hit you. And here we're gonna grab our second Spartan ability. We're gonna grab some shield from this grunt. Here we're gonna get a checkpoint. And then I like to shoot a rocket at these guys in the middle and go to the left on this ramp. Then we have to kill 2 jackal snipers. One is sitting right there and the other one is on the opposite side. And just shoot a rocket at this guy and wait for that little hit marker sound, so you can be sure he is actually dead. This is pretty much the only valuable information I can give you here. And then we just have to thin out this area. And this is actually the first and only room that we have to clear. So enjoy it. I'm just gonna skip forward here. And it's absolutely okay to die here, because we occasionally get checkpoints as long as you use your sword in between these fights. And yeah, as you can see on my timer, I had a pretty rough time here. This is actually the worst time I ever had on Foundation, so... And this one will be even worse later on, so ignore the splits. And business as usual, we just stun the enemies with our shock nades and use our particle sword for some shield. And once you're gonna hear Cortana say,
call down the elevator.
We know that all enemies are dead. And now we just have to get the energy core out of this room, put it in a slot, and then we just gonna approach our first boss fight, which is much easier on LASO than in Legendary, at least in my opinion, because due to the Black Eye Skull and the Particle Slot, we have technically infinite health as long as we stay in close combat. So before we start the fight, we want to make sure that we have our shock nades and our sword out, push this button, skip the cutscene and throw a shock nade and wait for him to charge up at us with his jetpack. And once he's in range, we will just hit him with our sword, and we always gonna run in circles and eventually run up to his back so that he won't have a chance to shoot us, and we only have to hit him about 10 times with our swords until he's dead. So I think this is the best and easiest strat you can do. It's, in my opinion, way easier than the rocket and shock nade strat because you don't have to worry about any health, and beside that it's way faster with the sword and there's no skill involved whatsoever. It's super easy, you just have to hit him, and yeah, once he's dead you just have to kill these jackals and then we are done. It really is just that easy. And now we're gonna proceed to our next level, which is Outpost Tremonious. And here we are on Outpost Tremonious. The first thing we want to do is to grab our first Spartan Core, and then we're gonna select our shock nades.
But this one's open. What do you think was in it?
Another problem.
And stun these guys over there, get some shields, shoot a rocket at the fusion coils. That should kill most of them. And we just finish the rest off with our shields. Watch out for the plasma nades. And then we're gonna go into the next room and push this button. And as soon this gate opens, we're gonna go right and collect our second Spartan Core. And then we will proceed to our second permanent weapon pickup, which will be the glitched tank gun. And it is important to note that if you lose it by accidentally picking up a different gun, it's gone. So I advise you to only put it out if you really want to shoot something or someone. Never use it while opening Spartan Core crates, because it happened to me multiple times that I accidentally picked up a weapon and then I had to restart the whole one. So you obviously just follow the path here, and in order to get the tank gun we have to get on this spot, and we want to switch it out with our rocket launcher, and then we're gonna clear this platform. And be careful with that phantom. I wouldn't advise you to shoot it because some enemies might fall down and survive, which will result in a soft lock and you won't be able to proceed to the next mission. Furthermore, I advise you to only shoot at one-shot enemies like jackals, grunts and brutes. Do not shoot at elites because they need at least 2 shots with the tank gun, and due to the cowbell skull they like to get launched up in the sky and never come back, which will also result in a soft lock. So try to avoid that, save them up for the end until everything is dead. And once we cleared enough enemies, we're gonna get down, throw some shock nades and kill these elites with our sword. Thanks to the Black Eye Skull we don't have to worry about health, it's completely skillless, unlike in other Halo titles. And once we cleared the mission objective, we're gonna push this button and have to watch this thing. In the meantime, I will show you what you have to do if you are soft locked. So in this one I killed almost every enemy, but still the game wouldn't let me through to the next mission. So instead of restarting the game, you just end the game and reload your save game from the main menu.
Now, here's the cool part. There are more UNSC forward operating bases that have fallen into banished hands.
And the reason for that is that you will keep your collected Spartan cores and you will start from this point on instead of in the elevator again, so you have a small time save. And from there on you're just gonna have to collect the tank gun again and kill all the enemies.
Let's go.
But now let's get back to our main run. So before we get into that Pelican and proceed to FOB Golf, we will collect our third Spartan Core that is hidden right here. There it is. And remember to pull out your sword before you open this crate, because we don't want to lose the tank gun. And as you can see, we have 3 cores, and now we're gonna move on to FOB Golf. Once we made it through the loading screen, we're gonna conquer the first and only FOB that we're gonna need for this LASO achievement. And for that, we're just gonna pull out our tank gun and shoot these 2 brutes. We definitely won't see this guy ever again. And now we're just gonna kill the remaining enemies with the tank gun.
Down there. We're close to the fob we detected. You take out those monsters. Get me to that.
And we gain some shields with our particle sword. Once we are done, we're gonna conquer the FOB, and then we're gonna proceed to our next glitch, which might take you a couple of tries, but we're gonna stay cool because there's nothing to mess up. If we fail, we try it. Once the lady's done talking, we're gonna call in a vehicle, then we're gonna count down from 5 to 0, make a step backward and position ourselves somewhere here and grapple hook this antenna, wiggle around to gain as much height as possible, and gonna run up quickly to the cockpit, hit enter and wait like for 2 seconds, then enter game and reload your game from the main menu. If you won't make the jump, don't worry, just call in another Pelican and retry it until you make it. And as soon as we are back in the game, we're gonna turn left and see a Pelican. Now we just have to turn it around. Be careful, because if it slightly touches you, you're immediately dead, so watch out. And bada bing bada boom, we have a functioning Pelican without any mods. And yeah, this is the Pelican glitch. But let's try it again. First we're gonna call in a random vehicle. Count from now on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Wiggle around and boom, we are on the Pelican. And remember to enter game, because we are still not able to use it. We have to reload our save game from the main menu, and yeah, there it is. If there's still something unclear, you can find a tutorial below in the description. But now we're gonna proceed to our next mission, the tower. And for that we're gonna grab our Pelican and fly over to the tower. Just follow the path, because we're gonna land the Pelican on a somewhat specific spot. We're gonna need it after that mission, so just follow the path.
Main structure.
We're just gonna land it somewhere here. It doesn't have to be the exact same spot. That should be it. And now we just gonna get out and pull out our tank and kill these enemies over there. There should be 2 brutes and some grunts. Just kill them. Then we're gonna get up on that pillar. And the first thing we're gonna do is to shoot this sniper tower, wait for the hit marker sound, and then we're gonna clear this platform. Just take your time. This looks good to me. Now we're gonna get on the platform and kill everything inside. If you have full shields, you should get a checkpoint here. And don't forget the sniper towers. Right over there. Shoot him, wait for the audio cue. And we wanna always jump before we shoot. And then we're gonna move over to this sniper tower. Bam. Wait for the audio cue. Super easy. And then we're gonna focus on these 2 brutes. Take them slowly out, and as soon as they are dead, we're gonna refresh our shields from these grunts here. Watch out for the plasma nade. Boom. Boom. Full shields. Okay, now we're gonna get somewhere over here in order to continue the mission script until this hologram comes up, we now know that we're doing everything right, and now we just focus on these brutes on the other side and thin the area out. As always, slow and easy. We should have probably gotten already a checkpoint here. But yeah, watch out for any incoming rockets.
Seems confident.
Yes, he does,
And once
but
everything is dead, we're gonna free these marines.
power spike in
They will distract any remaining enemies. And now's a good time to get Spartan Core number 4. There it is. Don't forget to switch to your sword before you opening any crates.
My facility is locked down.
And then we're gonna get up on this wall again and kill everything from here, because we have to get into that building in front of us.
He seems confident.
Yes, he does, but fortunately, it's misplaced. When the lockdown triggered, there was a power spike in what I presume was a security building. I've marked it on the map.
And once the door opens up, we're gonna jump down and shoot these jackals. Watch out for these grunts. They like to hide there.
This is it. Let's find a way in.
And once we're here, we're gonna turn around and throw 2 shock nades right over there to stun these 2 brutes. And we're just gonna refresh our shields. And boom. We hit this button, skip the cutscene, and get out of here again. And move towards the next
I'm
button.
going to need to manually
We're gonna shoot these 3 berserks.
on your map. This location acts as
Boom.
a holding facility. Prisoners are
And
captured,
boom.
funneled through to Chaklock,
And all that's left here is to shoot this brute here on the right.
suitably ominous and vanished sounding.
And to push this button, skip the cutscene, and then what I like to do is to swing around here for a second and wait for this gate to open. We actually don't have to wait for the gravity lifts. We're just gonna get in early and sit this out. And now we're just gonna hang around here for a second
The distress signal.
and wait for the gravity lift to activate. And now we can move on towards our second boss fight. But first we have to pick this thing up. And now what you don't want to do is to kill yourself by accident. Instead we're just gonna wait for the door to open and spam our newly acquired wall hack gadget. Tank on the brute and get some shield from these 2 grunts.
Place to come by choice. I await you eagerly.
And all you need to do now is to spam the location sensor, tank on the brutes,
About what you would expect for an elite.
and in between we're gonna regain our shields in order to get some checkpoints. Oh my god, look at this guy. Nice stick. And on the next floor we're gonna collect Spartan Core number 5. You can just use your scan in order to find it, or you can just follow my path. Personally, I like to go right here, but you can also go left, it doesn't really matter. The only thing that matters here is the Spartan Core, and obviously to survive.
Expose your weakness.
And there it is to our left. And as always, you better switch to your sword before you collect this assault rifle here. There it is, Spartan Core number 5. So we're just gonna deal with this elite with the tank gun, as always, 2 shots. And for the boss fight we're gonna prepare our shock nades, wall hack and the tank gun.
We need to get him out of there.
And the first thing we want to do here is to shoot our location sensor and just tank gun our second boss. Obviously just keep moving. You can also try to hit him with your sword.
Watch your back. He could come from anywhere.
And just keep moving, swing around. You can also try to regain some shields when he has his plasma rifle out. Just like that, but watch out for any incoming plasma nades. And just jump around. Use some shock nades, and that was lucky. And yeah, that was our second boss fight. And it's totally okay to die here, just retry it until you make it. Once we skip the cutscene, we're gonna get out of here and get back to our Pelican. If you want to go after additional Spartan cores, now is the time for that, but as I said, this is just optional. Once we are back in our Pelican, we're gonna fly over this bridge here and move on to our next mission, the Excavation site, which we won't actually have to play. We just gonna use the God Glitch in order to skip to the House of Reckoning.
We'll be in touch. Just don't
Banished Outpost of the Chief, and there's a lot of Banshee inside. Whatever's going on in there, he's high priority.
That's all we're looking for. Not yet. Do you even know what these are?
Once we are there, we're gonna land our Pelican. We're gonna need it after we got invincible, but don't get too excited because it won't last for long. Therefore, we're gonna land it somewhere over here.
That tunnel.
And once we get out, we pull out our swords and collect our final Spartan cores. One is hidden right on this hill up here, so just get up. And there it is, Spartan Core number 6. And now we just have to collect our final Spartan Core. Just follow the path because we don't want to activate the mission. So we're gonna stay away from the mission trigger. And there it is, our final Spartan Core number 7. And since we have all the Spartan cores we need now, we can buy our upgrades, which are the first grapple hook upgrades and one shield core. This shield core alone will make our final boss fight much easier. Once we upgraded everything we need, we're gonna move on to our next mission, which we actually won't have to play. We will just use it to get invincible in order to skip from here right to the House of Reckoning. And for that purpose we're gonna start the mission, skip the cutscene and end the game immediately. And just, as always, reload our save game from the main menu. Once we are in-game again, we're gonna move over to this spot, and now we want to grapple hook this wall from this angle because we don't want to get sucked into that hole. And as soon as we make contact with the laser, we are invincible. If you die here, keep in mind it's not because of the laser, it's probably because you just got shot in the back. In this case, you just wait for a second until you get reverted to your last checkpoint and retry it again. Since we are invincible now, kill timers won't affect us at all, which means we can fly directly to our second last mission, the House of Reckoning. Just follow my path here. Once we make it to this mountain, it might get a little bit tricky for you because I had some people in my comments that just couldn't make it to the other island because they got stuck on some invisible walls. In that case, I'll show you in a moment what to do, but first I'll show you how I make it to the House of Reckoning. Somewhere at this point you will get stuck on an invisible wall, and now what you want to do is to go down and kind of wiggle around with your cam, push forward until you make it through the invisible wall. Just follow my path. I tested this route rigorously, it should also work for you, but if it doesn't, you don't have to waste hours of your lifetime. Instead you can just jump to the Banshee skip because it isn't affected by any invisible walls. So we just keep drifting towards the House of Reckoning. And at this point we want to go a little bit down here. From this point on there shouldn't be any invisible barriers anymore. Now we can just directly fly into the House of Reckoning and we don't have to play the road, we just skip all of this. And now we just go down with the Pelican, get out and proceed to our next mission, the House of Reckoning. If you made it with the Pelican, you can now skip to in case you didn't make it with the Pelican and got stuck on some invisible wall and just keep dying for whatever reason. Nothing is lost. Just do this instead. Revert to your last checkpoint, get up somewhere here and just fall into the laser, and before that you have to open up your tag map. And this is really important because you can't open up your map after you made contact with the laser for whatever reason. If you fail, it's fine, just reload your save game, you have infinite tries. But once the map is open, we just have to fast travel to FOB Golf. As you can see, we still don't take any damage, and then we just have to get to a specific spot, which is right here. You can mark it on your map. And we don't have to worry about any enemies or damage whatsoever because we are invincible. So we can just follow the path. And once we are here, we go over to this spot. There it is. This is the spot we need to be. Now we just have to jump over. We're gonna sprint and jump and hook up this mountain. That's about it. And now we just have to get a Banshee, which we will find right here in this spot. They are always there, so just follow my path. You can ignore the enemies, just get to the Banshee, and boom. There it is, and from now on it's pretty straightforward. We just have to fly to the House of Reckoning. We don't have to worry about any invisible barriers now. Just follow the path. Just keep following. This is where we need to go. You can see it here on the map. This is the House of Reckoning. And we just move on. By now, at the latest, each of you should have made it to this point now, and now we can finally move on to our next mission, the House of Reckoning. And as we can see here, we have our 3 grapple hook upgrades, which we will need for the upcoming out of bounds skip. And for that we want to select hold to quad in our settings, as we will need this in just a moment.
There's an unusual signal up ahead. Maybe that's him.
I thought perhaps that I had misjudged you.
We just wait here for this door to open, and then we're gonna move on to a specific spot.
It is no accident that the Bandits were able to win so decisively.
Which is right here.
Arm yourself, Master Chief. Scavenge this battlefield.
We now run into this thing here, turn around, hold down crouch.
To their sacrifice and a testament.
And now we can pause the video to position your crosshair just like I did. And after we use our grapple ability, we hold down our melee button to Spartan bomb through this wall, and now we are out of bounds. This might look harder than it is. It's actually super easy. If you don't make it on your first try, you can just retry it until you make it. And here we want to wait for this door to open. And now we can move on to the next floor, and for that we just gonna get up on this elevator shaft. And on top of it we need to hit a load zone, which is somewhere here, and once the exit training room objective is complete, we know that we hit the load zone, we did everything right, and now we can move on to our next load zone. So just follow my path. Also, stay close to the geometry, because if you get too far into the void you will freeze, and in that case you will have to restart the mission, so be careful here. And now we are approaching the next load zone. And here we want to wait for these flickering lights. Once the advanced training objective is complete, we can now move on. And we don't have to care about the basic training objective at all. We're just gonna ignore that and get up this elevator shaft once again. And here we're gonna get back inbounds again, and this might take you a couple of tries. And what you want to do is to position yourself somewhere here, hold crouch, and then we're just gonna Spartan bomb through the ceiling. And you can pause the video now to position yourself. And boom. Once we're in, we can proceed to the next boss fight, which is actually just the same as the one before. So we're just gonna spam our wall hack, keep moving, and use our tank gun. If the boss doesn't spawn at all, you probably missed a load zone before, and in that case you will sadly have to restart the mission. But if you just did what I did, followed my path, you should definitely got to this point now. And there's actually nothing special about this boss fight. You just keep shooting with the tank gun, and if you have the chance to regain some shield, take it. As you can see on my timer, it took me a couple of tries, but unfortunately this is the run I have to work with, so. And I think it is kind of random where he spawns. I couldn't detect a pattern here, so just keep your eyes open. That's all I can tell you. And yeah, that was our third boss fight. And I have to admit here, I actually lied to you. You can obviously change out your sword with the red one, but it doesn't have any effect at all. You can switch it out if you want, just for the swag. And I kinda got lost here for a second, but whatever. Then we're gonna get to this gate here, and then we're gonna move towards our next boss fight, which is, by the way, the toughest boss fight of all Halos. And for that we're just gonna need our tank gun. And here you can wait for the elevator or just use the grapple hook to get up here. And here we're gonna check that we have indeed the tank gun out before we go into the boss fight. And then we're gonna push this button here, and then we're gonna spam the shoot and skip button at the same time. This is really important. And boom, that was Asherim. As I said, just spam, shoot and skip at the same time. It works every time, so sadly we can't go for the teabag here.
The machine is connected to Asherim's shield.
And that was the House of Reckoning. Fairly easy. Then we're gonna proceed to our last main campaign mission and second last mission that we need for the Headmaster achievement. And once we're in, we're gonna get up on this pillar here. And the first thing you want to kill here is the sniper elite below us, because he's very annoying.
You sure you're okay down there?
And you better watch out for some well-placed plasma nades here, because as we can see, these grunts can be pretty accurate at times. So watch out for that. And here we're just going to use our shock nades again and slowly thin out the area. And once the elite is dead, what I like to do is to get somewhere to this spot here, because in my opinion you have a better angle from here and more cover. But you can obviously just stay on a pillar. And this is actually one of the few rooms we need to clear on this level. So what we're gonna do is just to spam our shock nades, use our tank gun and shoot at everything inside. And occasionally regain some shield with our particle sword. And obviously watch out for the turrets. And once everything is clear, I like to get to this point, shoot a location sensor, and here you want to watch out for the berserk. There it is. And then you gotta get some shields from these jackals here. And eventually move over to the other side. And there should be 2 rocket launcher brutes, but sometimes they just hide somewhere. There they are. And yeah, that was the first room. We cleared everything. Now we can move on towards the next section. Remember to pull out your sword before you push any button. And obviously you want to leave this room with some shields in order to get some checkpoints. And in the next room we have 2 grunts waiting for us. There they are, and to our right we have an elite waiting for us. So we're gonna throw a shock grenade here and shoot him twice with our tank gun. And keep an eye on that brute that is hiding in this corner. We can also try to shock him and get some shield out of him. And then we're gonna collect this energy core and put it in this thing. And move on towards the hunter room. And what I like to do there is to just swing around and just shoot him with the tank gun. And if possible, get some shield from them. And you gotta be careful because sometimes you just get ported to the entrance of this room. I don't know what is going on with that, but it just happens. And you just keep swinging around and look down, shoot them. And that's pretty much it. Once they are dead, we can now finally move on.
I got this. You okay?
No. Not really.
If you have full shields, you should get a checkpoint here. And the first thing you want to do here is to kill off these potential suicide grunts. Take your time here, you don't need to rush. Once the grunts are dead, you're just gonna skip the other enemies. We're gonna hook up these pillars, pull out our tank gun and shoot these explosives, switch to our particle sword bag and get ready to kill 1 brute and 2 grunts around this corner. And now we're gonna leave this area with full shields and a guaranteed checkpoint that we will definitely need for the next section. And for the checkpoint I like to hang around here for a bit. And instead of fighting anything in here, we're just gonna sprint, jump down here and swing under this platform and get as quickly as possible to the end of the room. Just follow the path. Remember to use the momentum of your grapple hook by looking in the opposite direction. And here we want to stun lock this brute here and get some shield out of these 2 grunts. In order to get this checkpoint right here. Here we need to push this button and wait for a light bridge. If you want to, you can try to jump over from this point here. Or what I like to do is to get up here and swing on the other side safely. It's totally up to you. Obviously you can just wait for the light bridge. Just do whatever you feel like.
Auditorium. Do you know its history? It threw us. I believe
It's like
We're getting closer.
In the next section we don't have to fight anything at all, we just turn right and get up as high as possible and then just swing to the end of the hallway. Usually the enemies won't even be aware of our presence, so... For the next room we want to prepare our tank gun, but keep in mind this is our last opportunity to regain some shields before our final boss fight, so take your time and keep 1 guy alive and finish him off with your particle sword. I like to use this elite here for shields, but you can obviously just keep a jackal alive, it's up to you. And now we are approaching our final boss fight. Sadly, there are no skips whatsoever, so we have to play this as intended. But the tanker makes it really easy, it's not really challenging. It's actually pretty fun in my opinion.
Sacrifice yourself.
Okay, so in between the actual boss fight and the enemy waves, I like to jump onto one of these platforms and look around and watch out for any opening doors. If one's open, just shoot it with your tanker.
Where?
Keep moving, don't stop at all, then you should be good.
Throwing bomb!
If you think that you are approaching the last remaining enemies, pull out your sword, get some shield, and for the actual boss fight what I like to do is to get a wall hack on one of these pillars and hide behind it, because they give good cover against the blue orb attack, which is super annoying. Once she's down, take out your particle sword, regain some shields so you get a guaranteed checkpoint before the next wave of enemies, and then we just repeat what we've done before. We get onto one of these platforms and watch out for any opening doors.
She switched transmitters, rerouting the power through that one. This isn't good. The connection is sentient.
And kill as much as you can. And then keep moving, play this like a Spider-Man game, swing around, shoot everything you see, and eventually regain some shields. Once their shield is down, hide behind this pillar here.
Next one's dead.
Get some cover.
You will not stand in the way of this. This ancient injustice will stand no longer.
And before you launch to her, make sure that there are no incoming orbs, so watch out for that. Just play it safe.
Where was
Okay, next one's down.
the endless will be avenged and restored. Are you holding back? You wish
So if that happens, you better hide for a second before you go up to her.
you are a
And for the last time, we're gonna keep an eye on these opening doors. It's pretty straightforward from here,
It switched again.
so
It
just
found
repeat what we've done before.
What?
No idea, but I doubt it's good. Wait, there's something else here. Something's helping me.
This is what they made. You may kill me, but more will Come. And I this oppression will end.
There, last one's down.
What set me from you, Spartan, is right.
And that was our final boss fight. We finally beat the main campaign, but unfortunately, we are not done yet.
Give me a
The
little.
last achievement is still not unlocked, but it's all fine. All we have to do now is to activate one additional mission called the Sequence. For that we want to fast travel to FOB Golf. And here we want to grab a Pelican again, so we want to call one in. Call from 5 to 0.
Goodbye for delivery.
And just like before, once we are in, we're going to quit the game and reload it from the main menu. And now we just want to get in our Pelican and fly to a specific spot. And this is the spot we need to go now. You can mark it on your map and then just follow the path. Fly over this bridge, or you will probably die because of an invisible barrier. Also, don't fly over this gap on the right. Just follow the path. And once we're here, we can slowly go down and land our Pelican somewhere near the marked location. We actually won't need it again, so. And what we want to do here is to trigger a specific dialogue line from Cortana by looking at this huge spire on the left. This is the location we need to be, so. Yeah, once we're here, we want to get out. Just follow my path. We just want to get somewhere here into this area. Watch out for the kill timer, and there it is.
Wow, look at the spire. It's so new, evolved, different. Not like the last one.
And you're sure this is the one?
It's acting as the command spire.
This is the dialogue line we need to wait for, because it will consequently activate the script for the mission,
Hopefully,
the sequence.
just need to
So
look for a door.
once they are done talking, we can end the game and reload our save game from the main menu. And boom, magic, we are suddenly in a completely different location. As you can see here on the map, we just spawned in front of the spire
Evolved.
that we had to look at
Not like the
before.
last one.
And all that's left now is to play the mission as intended, so we want to clear these enemies over there.
Can you shut it down?
Hopefully, we just need to look for a door.
Once the area is clear, we have to push this button. And now we will wait here and listen to this dialogue.
Those beacons are part of a ring-wide communications network. They can adapt to any frequency, any purpose. It's quite incredible, really. Get me inside, and I should be able to use the pulse to reconstruct a pure version of the sequence.
Should.
I'm making this up as I go along.
By now our attack map should show us 4 new mission objectives, which are these 4 beacons. And guess what? We have to clear them now, so we want to fast travel to an FOB and grab another Pelican. Once we're in our Pelican, we can fly to our first beacon and clear it from all enemies. This is what we're gonna do now, 4 times. It's not fun at all, but this is what you need to do in order to unlock Headmaster, so... And once we're here, we want to land our Pelican on a somewhat safe spot, because we're gonna need it for the next 3 beacons, so... And what I like to do at these beacons is to get on top of them and just shoot everything from above. You can also shoot this phantom here before it deploys its reinforcements. Yeah, and watch out for these hunters here, also because they like to get launched up in the sky. Which will probably cost a soft lock, but in that case all you need to do is to get away from the beacon until the music stops playing, and once it stops you can turn around and get back to the beacon and push the button. Yeah, and as soon as everything is clear, you can just push this button, get down and push another button. And there it is. Now we get back to our Pelican and fly to the next beacon.
Anyone special out there?
No.
Then why do you do...
And yeah, by the way, don't get tempted to fly over this gap, because invisible barriers.
Another beacon?
Also, don't do the mistake and try to fly over this tiny gap here, because it will kill you. That's just how Pelicans work in this game, so be careful. Instead, we just want to land somewhere over here. There it is, and get to the beacon. And once again, we just have to clear this area from all enemies. And watch out for the skimmers with their rocket launchers. And as you can see, I just soft lock myself here, and what I do, I just get away from the beacon, and once the music stops, you know that you're good to go. You can turn around and get back to the beacon.
Okay, nice work, Chief. Let's get this open.
And that was the second beacon. Now we just get back to the Pelican and fly to the next one. Just land somewhere over here.
It's coming from that communication tower.
Keep in mind that there are 2 brutes on top of this beacon, so watch out. Also keep an eye open on these two waves, because they can be pretty accurate at times. Once again, I softlocked myself here and just moved away from the beacon until the music stopped and turned around and just got back to it.
Give me a second.
And this was beacon number 3. Now we can get back to our Pelican and fly to our last beacon and finally unlock the Headmaster achievement. And here we are at our final beacon. We can just jump out because we won't need this Pelican anymore. We are just moments away from unlocking our well-deserved LASO achievement. And now all that's left is to clear this area. Watch out for this guy. And once you hear Cortana say,
Short work of them, all clear.
you can get excited now, because all that's left is to push one final button and then the Headmaster achievement is yours. And to prove that this actually works, I'm going to show you here again, Headmaster achievement not unlocked. But as soon as I'm gonna push this button in front of me, we're gonna hear an achievement pop up. There it is, but
To the spire. We should be able to bypass the security now.
let's see what it was. I'm gonna open up the Xbox app, which might take a second, so stay with me. You're just gonna see that I just unlocked the last achievement. And there it is. So what do we have here? We just unlocked Heroic, Legendary, Normal and LASO. So as you can see, we just unlocked the Headmaster achievement in about 2 hours, 11 minutes. You can easily do it under 2, but yeah, I had a very bad run here. And yeah, I hope that this guide helps at least some people out. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching.